Hello and welcome back to Sioux Online. Today we're with David Poluck in Ward 3. Hello, David.
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
For the people that don't know you, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I've been a ward resident for 52 years. I'm the owner of Northern Jewelry and LurieGems.com. Actually, I grew up in the Pea Patch, and then I ended up moving over here on Northern Avenue, and I've been here for 28 years.
Married?
Married, yep. 2 kids, grandson, yep.
You were previously involved with City Hall in an indirect way. Could you tell us about that?
Well, I was one of the organizers for the Sault Ste. Marie Association of Ratepayers. Now, the idea behind the Association of Ratepayers was basically taxpayers talking. One of the things in setting it up for taxpayers to talk is we started to get involved with concerns and how the system worked and just basic process. And I found it very interesting because you learned a lot and you got to meet a lot of new people and you networked out across the city, and I got to work with a lot of people from all over.
Well, why did you decide to run right at this time?
It gets to a point when you're doing the organizing and you're working from the outside that it gets to a point where you've done as much work as you can on the outside pushing. But there does come to a point when the elections come up to be able to run to work from the inside. And the difference is if I do get the job working at council, I'm going to start pulling. I want to be able to pull people in to continue on with what I was working with. And because I found at the end, from what all the different projects that we got involved with, there was a lot of positive results that happened. And I think it's something that's worth continuing.
For this election, what do you think the major issues are? Especially for Ward 3, but we'll get to number 1.
Well, there's a number of issues that have come up that people have come in and talked. Well, right now we're starting with, first thing I'm starting with is I want to be able to get Town Hall started. The Ward 3 Town Hall, I've already got a space being made available up at Rome's for us. We're starting up the Pine and Pleasant area. Now the concern was, and I've had 6 different residents along the street and some people down in the Pleasant area come in and actually talk about speed control, traffic numbers, trying to be able to get a 3-way stop, some way to get the traffic to slow down, because right now it's hard to get out of driveways. You can't get out of Pleasant as easily as you should. I was talking to the traffic department yesterday, and they told me that 13,000 cars now go down that road a day, which to me is an incredible number. But in a section where there's an intersection that starts at basically it starts at McNabb, and then the next set of stoplights is at Pleasant, or sorry, not at Pleasant, at Pine and Northern. That's an awful long run for that amount of traffic that there's really, other than the speed limit, and there is a school zone in the area, that it should be looked at, because it does affect that whole street of neighbors.
Okay, now, how about Ward 1, the water issue? Everybody is or should be concerned with it, especially people in Ward 4, 5, and 6 who aren't having a problem. They're afraid that they will inherit the water problems if the PUC continues on the way it does. Now, do you have any solutions, or what do you think?
Well, one thing, it does also affect areas of Ward 3. But one thing I did when we were working with the association is, I think maybe about a year and a half ago, that we worked on being able to change the old agreement between the PUC and the city to the new agreement between the PUC and the city. The thing is, what happened out of that is the board meetings became open. For 12 years they weren't open. So what we ended up doing is getting it so now that it's open for the public to go to. Now what we need to do, again back with Town Hall, is to be able to get people that have an interest in what's going on at the PUC, to gather those people, to work with the board, to go in, ask the questions, work with them under process and procedures to come up with solutions.
Okay, but do you think that if City Hall retook control of PUC, if it was able to,
well, actually,
don't you think that would be a better solution?
Well, actually, under the new agreement, the old agreement, there was less control of council to PUC in general. Now it's got it so that there's more controls and more participation of council, so they can actually start doing different things. But it's still a matter of taking it, working it, but the people that are affected in the areas that are affected, it is our water, it is our company. We all are shareholders in this company. But now there's an avenue to participate, and out of the participation and communication, solutions will come.
Yeah, but we only have 3 councillors on that committee, on the board,
Right.
out of 9.
Mm-hmm.
That's very little control. They can out.
But actually, it's not necessarily, it's not, the way I've always felt about the board, like when you're a board member on the PUC, you're there as a representative of the people. You're not yes, you are a board member, but you're still a representative of the people, so you have to bring that information back to council. And again, under the new agreement, there are things that can be done in order to, but you still have to come back, give it to the rest of council, so they can get it out to the people, and then it comes back, and then there's a process in and out.
Okay, I'll put it to you another way. If we don't take control of PUC, can we go back to the way things used to be done?
Are you talking
And go
under
against the
commission?
rules, and go against the rules of the provincial government and see what happens then? Because they're the ones that changed the rules about how the water was to be managed, right?
Okay,
But after the Walkerton,
after Washington, yeah, but what I'm saying is, it's not going against the rules. So what you have to do is then it would have to be lobbying under the system in order to lobby the provincial government for change. To go against it or break it is only going to make more. There's a process to follow, and we do have to follow it. But there is, okay, the role of a ratepayer, okay, is to lobby the government for change. The role of the municipal government is to lobby the provincial government for change. But it starts with the people, and if the people start working. Which is why the town halls are important, because if we can get people organized to work and lobby, that's. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but it just seems like
rules are made to be broken.
they're made to be broken. But the thing is, under the law, any bylaw is amendable. And the reason why it's amendable is because nothing's carved in stone. So
These aren't bylaws, these are government laws.
they're government laws, but there is a process because they're not carved in stone. They're also amendable. They're not nothing is permanent unless, you know what I mean. Like that's the whole thing is because if it doesn't work, you have to be able to adjust. And if we don't get it so that we can adjust, then we're in a lot of trouble.
And in the meantime, we have to put up with the water that we're getting now.
But that's why at a local level, the board meetings are open to the public. The public has to go in and start discussing and asking the questions and interact with the board. The board has to do what the board has to do. But right now, if I'm not mistaken, there's only 4 board meetings a year.
But they're all open.
No, but there's 4 board. What I'm saying, there's 4 board meetings a year. Should there be monthly board meetings? Should they be held in a location, possibly that is more accessible to people? One other thing with the change of the agreement, that the minutes of the board meetings are now available at the city clerk's office. They weren't available for 12 years. So the thing is, communication is the key to this. And it's great we say we want to do something, but can we do it and how do we do it are 2 different things.
Getting away from the water. Ward 6 has been operating with 1 councillor since Frank Manzo got sick. Do you think it would be better for Sault Ste. Marie to go to a 1 councillor per ward system?
I'm going to disagree that it's been working with 1 councillor. Frank has been there, even though he's been ill. He's been participating with Joe, and he's been involved. He still takes the phone calls. He still passes on. He's still working, even though he couldn't physically be at the council. But to go to 1 councillor, I don't know if that's a good idea. And I'm not just because. Walking around through the ward. Ward 3 is a very large ward. It could almost be 2 wards. But the thing is, if there's 2 people working on a problem, the 2 people, again, back to the communication. 1 person working on a problem can get overloaded and buried. 2 people, if they're working on the thing, to be able to. Each person has a different skill set, and if you can make those 2 skill sets work well together, partnering makes the most sense. To go to 1, you'd almost have to turn it into a full-time job. Now, 2 part-time people working together, and from what talking to other councillors, it is not a part-time job. They're putting in full-time hours. And that's that's understandable doing, because that's what your job role is. You're supposed to facilitate, communicate, and organize. So, but having two people do it, I think it's good to have differences of opinion. I believe that's how the discussions start. You can work two sections of the ward at the same time. But to go to one, I don't know if it would be beneficial or not.
Seeing that the incumbents aren't running, what are you bringing to the table that will make the electorate vote for you?
Well, I guess what I'm bringing to the table is an attitude of customer service. My thing is I believe that the constituents should be involved in the process. I've been working over the last 8 years to get people involved in the process. It works. I've seen really good results out of people getting together and discussing things and working through situations. My thing is I'm not a bureaucrat. I'm a representative. When you come into my store, usually it's somebody bringing in something for repair, and that's what I've been fixing things, working on things, and that's the way I look at anything that gets addressed at City Hall. There's things that there's a need to improve and a way to improve and how to improve. But to me, the solution is within the populace, and then that's our that's the biggest resource we have. We're not tapping into it. Why aren't we using our best resource, our own people? That's where we've got to go with this.
Would you like to say something to your electorate?
I am ready to work for you in the city, and I'd appreciate if you gave me your vote.
Thank you.
No problem.